Whoa, dude, I'm totally you from the future. Listen, I have most important news. Your YouTube video, it has to be a success. Because if it doesn't, the whole world's gonna blow up, dude.
The whole world?
If you do not get 1,000 subscribers at least by the end of this video, that's it for humanity. All I can say is, good luck, dude, and party on.
Party on, dude. I guess. No pressure.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Adam. Welcome to A Duda Reviews, an entertainment channel for entertainment purposes. And as the future me said, please subscribe because our life depends on it. Without further ado, let's just get into the review. So the plot of the film is basically Bill and Ted are now in their 50s. They haven't written the song that's going to unite the world and harmonize the galaxies and all that kind of shit. They still haven't written that song and they're in their 50s now and they're starting to panic a little bit like, shit, we still haven't written that song. The future leaders come to visit Bill and Ted in the present and say, look, you've got 70 minutes or however long the film is to get this song done and save the world. Because if you don't, then the whole world and the whole reality itself is going to come crumbling down. There's some fantastic support in this film, including Bridget Lundy-Payne and Samara Weaving, who play Bill and Ted's younger daughters, Billy and Thea, Little Bill and Little Ted. They do like a really good impression of Bill and Ted Senior without fully ripping them off. They've got their own style. They're very intelligent girls. They're very musically versed. They know everything about music and stuff, yet they've still got the goofy mannerisms of Bill and Ted, and they really nail that, especially Bridget Lundy-Payne, who's like just perfect as younger Ted. The comedy in this film has the same tone as the previous two films. There are points when it sort of dips a little bit and it's not quite as funny as it could be, and there are points when it had me like literally just like laughing my ass off. Especially the first couple of acts of the film really had me in stitches, like the wedding scene especially I just found hilarious. The song where they're playing this like crazy song on a theremin and doing this weird throat singing to try and like sum up the song that's going to save the world, but it's just like so stupid. And the fact that Deacon, Ted's younger brother, is now married to Missy, and it was just like, it was so like spot on how they did that. And then when Bill and Ted have to go and find the song, they have to go to alternate timelines and see different versions of Bill and Ted. So you've got a Bill and Ted who are just like a couple of bums living in a van, and they're like really bitter, and Ted's drinking, and Bill's just like totally pissed off all the time. And then there's another one where they're like they go a little bit further in time, and it's like Bill and Ted is like, they're pretending they're really rich, but they're actually living in Dave Grohl's house, and it's just like ridiculous humor like that just really sort of kept the movie rolling. At a certain point in the film, it started to dip a little bit for me, and I started to lose a little bit of interest. Was when they went to hell. It's just sort of got a little bit dull, apart from the fact that it got picked up by the appearance of Death. William Sadler from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey reappears in this one, and he was still on point. He had that perfect humor and that perfect accent that he had in the first one, and he really plays well off Bill and Ted as well. And the fact that he was playing this sort of excommunicated band member really played into the whole sort of musical theme of it. There are a lot of subplots going on in this film. So we follow Bill and Ted's daughters as they go in search of a backing band. So it's kind of very similar to the first film in that sense, where they go in the booth, go back in time, find a musician, in this case Jimi Hendrix of all people, which was really cool to see. Mozart, they had Lynn Lund or something, it's a flautist, and a load of other people, and that was a good throwback to the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and it was quite good to see. But it sort of did take away from the Bill and Ted time that I wanted. I wanted it kind of just to be Bill and Ted, but it didn't ruin the film in any way. there was a new character that in this robot who, to be fair, I wasn't so keen on this robot. I think he was more just to push the plot forward. He had a similar role as Death did in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where he plays this sort of insecure, needy guy who's sort of really needs Bill and Ted's attention and validation kind of thing. So he didn't quite land for me. But in the very final scene, it really sort of picked up again when they finally get the song and they finally go back and everything. And it really was quite almost emotional, because it's like, you know, you're saying goodbye to Bill and Ted, and it's like, I love Bill and Ted, man. They're so cool. It's so much part of my childhood, and I say it's part of my childhood, it's part of my adulthood as well, because it's grown up with me, and I continue to watch these films to this day. And I've actually watched Bill and Ted Face the Music quite a few times now, over and over again. It has been quite rewatchable, actually, even though I was a little bit sort of, when I first watched it, was a little disappointed. Not overly disappointed, just a little tiny little bit, because I built it up so much in my head that this is going to be the best movie ever kind of thing. But I think where it fell apart a little bit perhaps was the budget. I don't think they had as much budget as the previous films. The set designs and the production didn't seem quite as on point as the previous film, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, because that had some really good set designs and things like that going for it. This film, it just seemed like a lot of green screen and stuff like that, and it kind of showed. It still had the same heart, it still had the same humor, it still had that Bill and Ted humor and that Bill and Ted chemistry that Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter possess, and that really still shows on screen. And you could tell that the people behind the film really put their all into it, and it was made with a lot of love and a lot of passion, and they didn't just put it together for money's sake. They did it for the fans, but they did it for themselves as well, and it shows on screen. And it was a good film, and it's definitely a brilliant send-off. I loved how this film actually incorporated the music side of things a little bit more as well, and it became a little bit more about musicians and musicians' lives, and sort of the struggling musician, and how music is such an important part of life. And I think if anything was going to save the world, it would definitely be music. So I salute Bill and Ted for this. Bill and Ted Face the Music, absolutely loved it. Had its little low points, but overall the final scene, the first two acts, dipped a little bit in the third scene, but the final scene really brought it back, and it's a shame to say goodbye to him. I kind of hope they don't go with a Billy and Thea spin-off, because I think that will sort of tarnish the perfect ending that they had, because I don't think it's really needed. I think it's done now, but maybe we can get a Freaks 2 from Alex Winter, who knows. Well, that's the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe and all that beautiful jazz. And if we get up to 1,000 subscribers, we may save the world. If not, then